My name is Anne-Liese. I'm with Tomorrow Stories, which is a consultancy that helps brands tell stories for tomorrow. And I've been working at the intersection of tech and culture for the past 14 years now on my own, self-employed. And before that, I was working for big brands. And in this realm, of course, I came across Web3 and spatial computing, AR, VR, and digital fashion and luxury, my great passion. And this is also how Ashumi and I met already a couple of years ago. And I got to see what she's doing in the space, and then her amazing events at New York. I wasn't there in person, but we actually met in Amsterdam last year. We also met in real life. So that's been really nice to also connect after talking to each other online all the time. And now I've come on board as an ambassador for Future Plus, her new platform, which is something that Ashumi is going to tell us a lot about today. And I don't know if you've seen, there's like a new website, there's a trend report out, and today we're here to talk about this and what she's been doing. So yeah. Ashumi.
Thank you, of course. And actually, for all those people who are joining us new and possibly haven't seen the trend report that Anne-Liese worked with us on as part of Tomorrow's Stories from our New York event, is live on our website. So you can go to futureplus.xyz and you can have access to that amazing insights report that we put together when we launched Future Plus in New York last year. So hi again, everyone. I am Ashumi. I'm the founder and CEO of Future Plus. I'm also the founder of an innovation-focused creative production agency working across fashion, luxury, beauty, art, and collectibles for the last 15 years. The reason why I kind of started to kind of notice there was quite a lot of things that was shifting, especially across what is happening across a very, very rapidly evolving technology landscape. I think the more, and of course, we all know that the pandemic sort of accelerated the growth across a lot of these industries and a focus really on a lot of these industries. But that has kind of made the gap quite large with where the brands and the enterprise are and how they're finding it harder and harder to keep up with this pace of change that is happening across the entire ecosystem. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have an entire creator economy, digitally native brands and creators and tech founders who are finding it equally as hard to connect with the brands to be able to have their own use cases, which is very important for having those use cases to facilitate adoption and to actually move a lot further along where we are. So that's how Future was conceived, I should say, a couple of years ago already now. We had a very successful event with which we launched the genesis of where the platform was going. And then over the last year, we've been building very diligently, very much in the background, as to what the product and the platform will entail. And the most important part of what we want to do is to help connect people. And that's what we're here to do, to facilitate connections across the ecosystem. And focusing, of course, on future trends and the media and the content side of things is very important as well for this. So,
and you are really at the epicenter of what is going on by talking to a lot of brands and also looking into the space and then having these amazing events where all these people come together and talk about what's next. So this is what we're here today in a way too. And just the two of us, between us, what we're seeing, what we're excited about for 2024. And in our pre-talk before, both of us were saying, what we're really waiting for right now is the release of the Apple Vision Pro. I think for everyone, this is the most exciting piece that's coming up. What do you think about it, Ashumi? How is it landing with you? Have you ordered one?
I have ordered one. I want to see if it's going to live up to the hype. I think with a lot of these things, especially with hardware, the first versions are always, very exciting. But I think sometimes it's more about getting those use cases to be able to see how that hardware is going to sort of match with how the use cases sort of play on them. And I think for us, we talk about this a lot, but what are those use cases going to be like for fashion and for the brands? We were talking before as well, we already know amongst us a lot of brands and a lot of platforms who are developing very cool let's say products to be able to showcase on the actual Vision Pro. So I'm excited to see what they're going to be coming up with in terms of the experience itself and how this is going to lend to more immersive shopping experiences and more social experiences as well. I know we were talking about a lot more use cases coming through for gaming with that. So yeah, I mean, what do you think? What are you most excited about?
Yeah, for me, I'm overall skeptical a headset will go mainstream like a mobile phone. Like, I don't think we're going to be walking around with those headsets in our daily lives, but I'm super, super excited about the possible applications for fashion, for design, for entertainment. I mean, a fashion show experienced or filmed in 3D with this technology that's inside the headset. And I think we're only just seeing the beginning of this mixed reality technology. And the gadget might look totally different in 5 years, in 10 years. Like, if you remember the mobile phone, how big it was in the beginning,
Sure.
and how expensive it was, and the technology we're seeing might be in a totally different hardware in the end. But I think it's going to open up huge possibilities for engineers and designers. I just saw a video about how you can actually use it in an industrial context, of course, but also use it in a context where you get design teams together, immersed in an immersive studio. And just imagine, it doesn't matter where you're located, but you can get together and work on a dress or whatever it is, a headpiece, I don't know, a jewelry designer. And I think we're going to see lots this year and in the years to come with this technology. It's only just the start. But what also gets me.
Yeah, so do you think that's more shared live experiences as well in that, obviously we have, let's say, applications like Zoom, and being able to do that in much more of a mixed reality format where you are in person, but in 3D, having those calls or those virtual conferences?
Definitely. And just imagine how important digital fashion will get then. Because now, I mean, of course, you can wear digital jewelry on a Zoom call, but imagine people meeting in an immersive experience and then being dressed up to the nines. I'm looking forward to that one. We have 3 billion gamers coming out of the pandemic, and I think 2024 will be a year of a lot more gaming integration by brands. We're already seeing it now. Roblox, so Paris Hilton just now combine it with the Hilton Hotel Group, and we see many brands jumping into these games right now. So that's also a huge trend that I think we need to talk about today and make everyone aware of it if you're not already. And we're not just talking Roblox, we're also talking Fortnite. We're also talking about games that are just coming up. So it's who knows, the next big thing this year is a game release by someone we didn't have on our radar yet. Also Web3 games. So
Web3 games is something that is definitely hugely on our radar because of the blockchain-based applications for digital fashion, of course, specifically. It's something that we haven't really seen a lot of. There's been all of these conversations, lots of very, very creative, digitally native brands and creators out there who have been at the forefront of the creativity and the technology, but the use cases have been missing so far. And I think that with Web3 gaming applications, this could be a way for us to really see that interoperability and that utility that could happen, which most people and gamers, in the sense of how they are within a lot of these platforms, it's quite second nature to them, to be dressed up in their skins, or to be able to trade, or to be able to purchase in-game assets. And when that's, blockchain based, I think we're going to be able to see a lot more very, very interesting applications. There's a couple of blockchains that we have been in conversations with who are developing the dApps across their ecosystems, and a lot of that has fashion and gaming very much at the central sort of theme across a lot of what they're developing. So it's very exciting.
And when I talk about gaming to brands, of course, you also have quite a lot of skepticism in some brands, that are very traditional and not wanting to think along these channels as marketing channels, but they are becoming really valuable marketing channels, not only because you can find new audiences and younger customers. I would also say you really need to look into gaming one way or the other to future-proof your brand, because there's a whole new aesthetic coming through. And like you were saying, the self-expression through skins, through the avatars, is really something that the next generation is embracing big time. So also the narratives are changing. There's a new kind of storytelling, and you can test that and see how future-proof your brand actually is by going into these games and seeing, what are my brand values for this next generation? What do I have to, maybe adjust here and there and tweak to be, ready for this new customer? And also, if you do a project like that, you can see where does it actually work in my company? Like, what are the logistics behind? Who could be in charge of something like this? So I would really urge you to just try out something and go and engage with this new way of marketing to the next generation customer, because these young kids, or these young kids, also me, I game a little, but you're kind of getting used to, once you start, you're getting used to this immersive 3D internet. You're walking around, you're holding up items. You want to see the shoe in 3D. You want to twist and turn it. So it's also important to really think about your e-commerce site and adjust it to a new way of how these customers want to look at products, I think. So virtual try-ons.
Absolutely. And virtual try-ons, I think there was a Shopify data that said there was a 94% uptick in conversion from e-commerce websites that had integrated 3D and AR into the way that their product was, that the way their product pages actually worked. And I think that is super interesting. And that actually, in some sense, don't you think ties into the whole loyalty and rewards aspect of how the brands should be looking at this, sort of kind of like a marketing funnel across many different layers?
Exactly. And also all these technologies are merging right now. We're talking about, AR, VR, now it's mixed reality. It's called spatial computing. There's different words being thrown out, hype words again. But we've been around for Web3. We know there's a lot being built underneath. We also know about generative AI. All these technologies are coming together. Like AI is behind all these filters. It's behind those digital fashion filters we see right now. So it's all coming together and really creating this big transformative wave across all industries, and especially in fashion and design, because I think this is where brands need to jump on trends quickly, and this is where culture is moving in general, and this is what needs to be on the radar. And
I think that it does have such a close link to what's happening across culture, which is what we, even with the ethos, with how we're building Future Plus, it's, brands need to future-proof themselves as to keep up with this very, very rapidly evolving ecosystem, because actually the culture is linked to that rapidly evolving technology landscape and ecosystem. And if they don't keep up with it, then essentially they're going to lose out on keeping up with culture. Just actually going back to that conversation about the 3D immersive environments, do you see as well from the conversations that you're having with the brands that they are leaning more into having and building immersive branded worlds within some of these games? Or are you seeing more of a trend within the brands actually having certain items placed within games that are actually quite popular?
It's actually both ways, and it's of course a way to test the waters. If you only, let's say only, I mean, it's a big experiment for a lot of brands. If you want to put only a few items in there in one existing game, that's an avenue. If you want to create your own game on a platform that already exists, that's an avenue. And also you can do your own game, as we've been seeing, the Balenciaga ski game across the winter. So this is integrated with your shopping page, and it's brands experimenting with this new way, with this gamification, which is also such a hype word, and I've come to not like those, but I have to say there's so much more to it behind it, and it's actually the psychology of the new customer. They just want their internet to be fun and entertaining, and something they can engage with, and not just be, they want to be participants, as we've heard so much in Web3. They don't just want to sit there and have a brand tell them what to wear. They want to participate in the creation process, the co-creation, huge trend we're going to see 5-10 years up. And they also want to be part of the narrative, and this new technology is helping them be part of the brand. And I think that this is actually, if I already need to sum it up, I think that's the main trend any brand needs to put into their book for 2024, to stop just shooting at the customer and spreading the word like that, but looking at where the customers are and then building something that engages them from within and immerses them in the brand. So it all comes together.
And going into the collaboration bit, I think I think Balmain at the end of the year did a very interesting project with their Space Runner shoe, the sneakers collaboration that they do with space runners. And I think they have a new AI platform which allowed people to create their own version of the sneaker, their own version of this of their sneaker with an artist. So I think this sort of like hyper personalization and co-creation that allows you to utilize of course AI and personalization tools to create something that you can own for yourself, using of course different tools, is going to be quite exciting as well. And obviously coming onto the topic of AI, which is always the elephant in the room, right? It's the good, bad, and the ugly, like I said. there's so much to sort of unpack there. And I think even from what we were seeing last year, I think there was so much hype, especially with generative AI, especially across everything that was happening across platforms like Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, Runway, with what they're doing. Very powerful tools, very powerful for creatives to be able to use. Although what we've been hearing on the brand side is that they've probably, not going to be incorporating any of these tools into their workflows, especially from a creative side anytime soon, because of the very strict copyright laws that are that exist, especially where when you're working with the more heritage and luxury brands. But I wanted to understand, hear your take on what you thought could be quite interesting, especially with some of the generative AI tools that we have out there, and very, very powerful platforms, and the different use cases. And just kind of also mention here that I think one of the most important things we will see coming out of this year is that convergence of AI and having a lot of that built on chain for provenance, for reliability. I mean, we've seen all over the news lately, what these fake videos and deep fakes, and even for celebrities. I think I saw a Jennifer Aniston video, which wasn't her. There was a Taylor Swift video that was doing the rounds on Twitter, which has had huge backlash. And then also, of course, platforms like TikTok really kind of promoting these AI or CGI generated videos or photos of things like the Eiffel Tower burning and things like that, which is of course very dangerous because it can create a lot of propaganda, and it can create really a very quick and widespread epidemic, really, of fake news, which is very dangerous.
Yeah. For me, 2024, I don't want to be the party pooper on generative AI, but I think it's going to be the year where we're seriously going to have to discuss regulations. Because at the same time, we also see digital twins getting so good. And you touched upon the deep fakes. I mean, in a way, we do want to have those digital twins of us, but how are we going to make sure it's us and they're actually saying what we want them to say? So there's many problems coming together, which are going to call for some sort of labeling or authentication, like you were saying. In my opinion, blockchain would be a great solution as well to authenticate your voice. And it's actually
And
you,
content,
not even your voice, like everything, your look. But yeah, we're going to see how this all comes together. And I think generally, also now people in 2023 have woken up to the possibilities of AI, and now they've thought about it, and it's going to be about how are we going to use it for good. And I think a lot more people are going to wake up to, like you say, copyright issues and so on and so forth. I mean, if we're looking outside fashion design culture, I mean, politics, let's not go there. But I mean, there's a huge danger in the misuse of all of this. Me personally, I do use it. I actually use ChatGPT, of course, a lot, also Midjourney. And I'm excited also about Midjourney introducing videos, like real-time immersive worlds that you can create on the click of a button. I mean, it's for me as a futurist, I'll be able to really turn these future visions into an immersive world. I was doing, a project where I had to imagine the future of tourism, and now I could also do a video. I created these architecture examples, and now you can walk into the future at the click of a button, and everybody could do that on their desktop. I mean, it's mind-blowing what's going on. And I think, like we also saw with the rabbits, that famous orange thing that was trending just a few weeks ago, we're going to see gadgets in 2024. We're going to see gadgets that are using AI that are going to help us speak a lot of languages. I don't know what. I think, yeah, this is also a very exciting part about generative AI and AI in general.
And I did actually also, obviously, there's been a big knock-on effect on AI, actually having generative AI specifically having a big sort of, affecting the workforce, especially across, I think I read as of today, a lot across gaming companies. And I think, as you mentioned, I think it's because the tools are becoming so powerful that you can now create your own immersive environments really, really quickly. And, you don't even necessarily, even I feel like 3 or 6 months ago, we were like, oh, maybe being a prompt engineer could be a new, let's say, role or job title. But now the tools are becoming so easy and so foolproof that you don't even really, they're making it easy to even prompt the sort of the machines into kind of understanding and get better at understanding what it is you want without you being so very specific. But going back to your ChatGPT, I know that you had created one and you had sort of, I want to know a bit more about that. I mean, obviously that was, it was great. And I think I've just seen some questions come up. Dimitri is on linked and is on our Instagram live. And he has asked, what tools we are using in our everyday life. I mean, obviously for us, we use ChatGPT because we are subscribed to ChatGPT and we do tend to use it for some kind of copywriting, even though we do kind of go in and make it very much all about our tone. We do love Jasper. Jasper is great as well. I think a combination of Jasper and ChatGPT can be a really powerful way to create content.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT a lot, but for strategy. And it's giving me so many ideas that I end up just talking to it all day instead of executing. So it hasn't really saved me any hours. It just made it a lot more exciting to actually really strategize for myself, for tomorrow's stories, for brands. And actually it also helped me because I'm English is not my mother tongue. So for me, it's helped me to rephrase certain emails and make them sound more polite in English, which is always like a lot more flowery, actually. And just very simple things like that. And I follow a lot of influencers that talk about how you can actually use ChatGPT to really give you value. So every day I learn something new, and I'm just amazed at how well you can integrate it. And I'm just waiting for it to be something that I can talk to, something that pops up on my computer and I can just, like, my real assistant. Like, I want it to be a chatbot, but a really good one. And you mentioned it. I created a GPT for Tomorrow Stories. I wanted it to be, everything in my voice. Like, if you ask it about future trends, it's going to tell you what I think. And so I fed it with all my LinkedIn, my Instagram lives, my LinkedIn feed, everything. But I have to say, I don't have enough material because I'm not borrowing from anyone. I don't want to infringe any copyright. So I'm not going there. It's all created by myself. But I've seen its limits. Like, I've asked it the same question on the regular ChatGPT, and it's only slightly different. So I guess more of what I do needs to be fed into it. And I've seen the limits. And I think that's what's happening to people now. They also see the limits. Like, first you get really excited, and then you're like, okay, it's actually adding to my workload. But I mean, this is just one. I've also been experimenting quite a lot with my digital twin, because I see so many virtual influencers now. And I don't think this is just, a trend that will disappear. I think I don't think the regulation will come so quickly. So we're going to have to deal with this. And they're getting so good that you cannot tell the difference. And I'm always being told, as a sole entrepreneur, I can't scale myself because I need to be
Well, I
there,
think
live
you
and
can.
present. But if
Yeah.
I have a digital twin, I can scale myself and do lots of things at the same time. We're not there yet. It doesn't I can now, my avatar can speak a lot of different languages and can do the same webinar in Spanish and Japanese and whatever, but it still seems very, not real. It's just it's not there yet. I cannot use it yet, but I'm a
Do you
big
use Synthesia for that? Do you use Synthesia for that?
No, I use Hey Gen. I've been trying Hey Gen a lot because I've seen that this is something that offers all the other things that I want to try. But I've also you looked at Synthesia. I've looked at a few other platforms. I think we're going to see a race for that, definitely. And I've also, in Amsterdam, there were, holograms, digital twins, 3D in a box.
Yes, it's exactly true. And the great thing about that is that there's so many use cases, because you can have pre-recorded content that can sit in those hologram boxes as holograms. Of course, very specific to use case. I think I definitely see it across more the conferencing model, or having something that is B2B, or also really shop windows for retail. But that would be probably pre-recorded content. I think it could be very interesting, because if you have live stream, so for example, if you have a studio set up where you're filming a presenter or even a celebrity, or an influencer, they get streamed with very low latency into the box in real time.
Amazing.
And if you actually set it up in a way that you have a two-way camera, you can actually live time interact with your audience, which is incredible, and it's mind-blowing. So
It's absolutely mind blowing. But again, it opens up a lot of possibilities for creators. But also, I think if there's any laws, there are none in place, because I check. There's some lawyers I follow on LinkedIn, and I see that they're discussing this all the time. Like, right now, you really need to safeguard your rights to your person, to your if you're a celebrity. I don't know, if I were Jennifer Lopez right now, I would. She's done, with I think it was a cruise line. She did something with AI, like a of her image. You could have her avatar speak to you, personalized. But I mean, it's crazy what you can do and how you can scale yourself across a lot of different media. But at the same time, we need to somehow make sure it's us, ourselves. So maybe a soul-bound token on the blockchain will make sure it's us. Something that authenticates your digital self needs to be in place very soon.
Yeah. Well, that's all very exciting. I think we're going to be talking a lot more about this and so many more interesting topics at our Future Plus event in Paris on the 22nd of February. We are very excited because our agenda is all looking like it's pretty much packed and confirmed. It looks like it's going to be an oversubscribed event. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to having everyone in Paris with us. Of course, we have an incredible roster now already of corporate members, individual members. We have a huge wait list, but if you haven't signed up already, I really encourage you, if you are interested, to sign up on our website, futureplus.xyz. The applications are also open, and we will be sharing more very soon, but of course, save the date. It's on the 22nd of February, and hopefully, Anne-Liese, you will be joining us as well in Paris in person. Touch upon the Web3 aspect for a second there. You know, I mean, especially specifically with the conversations that we're having, especially where, anything metaverse or NFT related is a dead start for any of the brand conversations. They don't want to engage in having those conversations at all, which, to be quite fair, I think a lot of these hype cycles are very intrinsically linked to the crypto cycles. And there's a lot of things that have been, a lot of sort of shifts across markets that have pulled the rug out from where a lot of those cycles have gone. But, we're still, for us, on the agency side at Mad Global, it's business as usual. We don't really get into having conversations that are very linked to hype cycles. I think for us, we always referred to NFTs as it's a technology, and it's always been about digital assets. I don't think the blockchain is really going anywhere. It's about an ideology, but it's also about understanding the larger sort of importance for so many different applications, right? And I think it's just about shifting focus, not really talking about, having these jargon busting conversations, not really getting played into the hype of what it's going to be and where it's all going to go, but really having a very pragmatic understanding of the brand and the brand's universe when going forward with, planning any new projects. And that's really where we are. With Web3 as well, it was Web 1 once, it was Web 2, Web 3 will be Web 4. And, it's a moment in time. It's a new iteration of the internet, and it's where we're headed. And I think that's just going to continue developing as we kind of move forward, into this new year, as we see a lot of these trends with a lot of the gadgets and a lot of the hardwares come into play as well as some of the larger trends across the ecosystem. So that's my take on it. And
yeah, Web3 has really disappeared into the background, and customers don't need to know about it anymore. It's really something that brands need to know about, I do think, because Web3 loyalty is something that is being launched by brands constantly, like Visa recently. So a huge brand, and a brand with a lot of credibility in the market where it's all about how we deal with our money. So there is still a lot of, I wouldn't even say potential, because I think anyone who's in Web3 and still building and behind the scenes, they know that this is not going anywhere. And this is just something that is being integrated in the background. So 2024, definitely Web3, a trend, a future trend, maybe not a trend in as such, but something that is integrated behind the scenes, and something that, particularly in terms of loyalty programs, is definitely worth looking at. And
absolutely.
yeah,
And it's interesting that you brought up Visa, just obviously, touching upon they have chosen to work with smart media technologies, and, SMT is, by the very nature of how a lot of the companies that are winning these big enterprise and holdco accounts is because they're making the technology very, very seamless and really integrated into the infrastructure in the back end, so that the users are actually not even really aware of what it is they are interacting with. And that's really how I think it should be. I think we've spent far too much time talking about the technology and far too little time talking about the actual experience in making that technology more widely adopted. So hopefully we're going to see a lot more use cases coming out like that, which are just really seamless, really easy. Meet people where they're at. Sign up with your email, add to Apple Pay or PayPal or Google Pay, or all of these touch points that we already have integrated in our daily lives, and not have to kind of jump through hoops and download any more apps or remember any more passwords, because I don't think that's going to really get us any further.
I actually read that somewhere. In a society where attention span is diminishing, we're asking people to mint from contract and go like, okay, what's minting? What's from contract? What do I do now? I mean, for anyone who was there in this space, it was exciting and a great experiment. But for mainstream adoption, we were far off with that. But nevertheless, it's still something that we all have on our radar if we're working with brands in this space. So Ashumi, tell me, after all these things that we talked about now, future trends 2024, what will be your focus for 2024? What are you going to concentrate on?
So 2024 for us is going to be a huge focus on onboarding and bringing a lot more of our corporate members and individual members into the Future Plus platform. We are also going to be building out what will be a very powerful tool to utilize, of course, AI to connecting and facilitating those connections for our members. We are also looking at a very packed calendar of events that we will be doing around marquee events around the calendar year. So of course we're coming to Paris. We will be in Hong Kong for Art Basel. We will be in Cannes for Cannes Lion. And then so many more planned, of course, in Q3 and Q4 with a lot of other partner events as well as content pieces. And yeah, we're kind of really building really an umbrella of thought leaders and ambassadors like yourself, Anne-Liese, to kind of come into the platform to be able to educate and share thought leadership with a lot of people who are also part of our ecosystem. And that's everything that we're very excited about doing. Of course, on the other side, we work very closely with brands and on the strategy and consulting side to help them shepherd their way into what this very rapidly evolving landscape looks like, specific to their organizations. And at Mad Global, we're very focused on delivering on and producing on creative projects. And that's all, again, very across creative technology, doing a lot of work with holograms. I know we touched upon that before. We have a proprietary hologram system that we have invested in, which is a patented technology. It's the only one in the world. It's a sort of Rolls-Royce of holograms. So we will be doing some very, very interesting projects on the hologram side. And yes, lots more soon to announce. So watch this space.
Sounds amazing. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. On my end, I just want to continue help brands tell stories for tomorrow and bringing all these technologies together in branding for the next generation customer. I think that's sums it all up. And I think being a Future Plus ambassador is a great honor, and I'm really happy to be part of this project. And I can't wait for the amazing things that will come out of reports, events. I mean, if you've seen the New York event, then the bar for Paris. I could just imagine, in terms of people who are going to be there, and also brands who are going to be there, and also I also would underline, I've heard so many good things about New York, how the whole fashion aspect and style aspect of your events is just really up there. So it's going to be very exciting to see all this. And Thank you so much for this conversation today. Are there any questions from someone somewhere on any platform that we now can look across?
This is Bianca Cam, who's asking, what industries are you both seeing being created within the next 10 years with AI?
Oh, wow. That's a huge, huge question.
That is a huge question.
I'm going to say again this digital twin thing. Like, I'm really on this right now. I think this is going to, now we're talking Holobox, we're talking HoloConnects, we're talking 3D holograms, but maybe it's going to be something totally different. I think an industry around that is going to, like the creator economy on steroids. I think that's going to be, well, it's not exactly a new industry in a way, but I do think so. And of course, also, I think we're at a stage where digital fashion is not a trend. That's an industry. Like to me, that's something through gaming and mostly through gaming, and is going to be something that in 10 years time, we're going to look at as an industry within the fashion industry. It's going to be huge. I think we won't get past it. It doesn't look like it now, but I really do think that.
So you mean using AI to co-create and create those
Yes.
digital fashion items as well to be worn across
Yes.
platforms, also across blockchain-based applications? I agree, actually. I also think, actually, I agree with you on the first one as well. I think, the digital twins, but I'm also actually seeing the huge how it's going to disrupt really the modeling agency. Of course, I think there's sort of two sides of the spectrum, right? On one side, you have very, very, very A-list celebrities and influencers who have huge audiences in themselves, who are going to hugely benefit from the digital twin aspect of what they can kind of leverage for their own personas. But I think that the sort of mid, or let's say the modeling agency in general is going to be disrupted hugely by just the creation of virtual models. And those virtual models and a lot of the platforms that are now starting to crop up everywhere have the likeness of certain models. So you can say, oh, this model may look like, I don't know, a Bella Hadid, but of course it's not. But is something that is so hyper realistic, is a person or a model who is so hyper realistic, but just created by AI, that I think we're going to really see a huge disruption, especially across how those models are used for e-com and for lookbooks and everything to do with online presence. And I think we're going to see a massive disruption in how maybe that category of model may have to find different ways of engaging with their audience.
And if we look along the fashion and luxury value chain, this is more the end, the modeling, the media, the digital twin, but also, of course, in design, we've been seeing trials, but we've also heard big fashion designers saying they're not using AI. But maybe within the logistics with AI, there's a huge possibility to make the fashion industry sustainable. And maybe here there's a way of where a new industry can come up, like some B2B providers that help, through AI create products that are more personalized, so the customer doesn't have to return it. So I think if we want to analyze it, we could go, like, I could write a trend report on this, but I would have to look at the whole
I think I agree.
That's a great topic, actually.
That is actually, we haven't even touched upon that, and we have such a Francine, who is also an ambassador to Future Plus, who is also the founder of House of Web3. Is we have been talking a lot along these lines. Louise Lang, who is from Digital Twin, is also very much focused on utilizing tools like AI to be able to have very hyper personalized models especially for more sustainable consumption. And I think you touched upon a really interesting point there. But Web3 and AI interlinked do have, and I have said this so many times before, and I see a huge convergence for a lot of these technologies and how they impact SDGs and sustainable consumption, and where we are as with fashion as an industry as a whole, and how we can actually leverage technology to just start tackling and having impact across some of these sectors as well. Anna says, do you attend all events in person, or are you also there in a digital space or immersive environment, or even with a digital twin? I wish I could send my digital twin. Maybe we should explore that together, Anne-Liese. How do we get our digital twins to be traveling around the world to speak?
Also, some things are very nicely explored in person as well. So, of course, I think, Ashumi, you're there in person at every event. I cannot be there at every event, but I will do my best to be a Future Plus ambassador in other realms, and also throughout the year at one or the other event in person. And it would be lovely to meet you there if you're there.
Yeah, well, you know what? Actually, the new me is not going to be at a lot of events this year. So maybe you'll catch me at a Future Plus event. And I think we're doing 4 tentpole Future Plus events this year. But I'm going to try to be a little bit more mindful with just my personal travel. So I'm going to have to look into my digital twin, actually.
Thank you so much for everyone joining in and following us across. Check out Future Plus, and check out how you can be part of the platform. And see you somewhere in the future is what I always say. So,
see you somewhere in the future. That's a great way to
thank
end.
you, Ashumi. Have a
Thanks
wonderful
so much.
night.
It was really wonderful. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.